Well, this was the weekend. I've been training for 3 months for my terrain run. My sister-in-law talked me in to going over, and she said, for the last 4 or 5 years, we got together for a fundraiser for my sister-in-law, Diana. She had a brain tumor a few years ago, and we'd get together and we would raise money for brain tumor research. And we'd only do these runs that would raise money that 100% of the proceeds would go to brain tumor research. And we'd get together and we'd go to Chicago. I don't go to Chicago, all right? I don't fit in Chicago. And I went to Chicago, and my first time up there, I wanted to run a 5K in 35, 40 minutes. And my first 5K I ran in 30 minutes. I'm like, how'd you do it so fast? Well, there was a manhunt for a cop killer. Can you believe that in Chicago? Oh, wow. Can't believe that was going on. And I wanted to stay in the middle of the pack. And so my running form was bob and weave all the way up there. And so I started doing these, we haven't done one in a while. Vicky's sister had passed away, and Debbie, her other sister, said, hey, let's get together and let's one run in her honor. And we bought shirts. And it said, we had to have a team name. It said, not so fast, but pretty furious on the back was our team name. And we said, in honor of Diana, and we trained for 3 months for this thing. And I drove 5.5 hours, and my deal was I have not missed one of Brant's football games since he was in 6th grade. And to do this, I'd have to miss. And I told Vicki, I'm like, no, I won't. I'll go to the game in Hayes, and it's only another 4.5 hours to Kansas City. And I'll go to the game. Game will be over at 9:30. And I'm like, it's TMP. He's junior varsity. We're going to beat him, and then I know he'll get to play. And Vicki said, you're going to go, and you're not going to go to the game. You're going straight to Kansas City. I said, I am the head of the house. I am going to the football game. And so I drove over to Kansas City. I get all the way there, and they canceled the race. No. A lady that owned a strip of the ground at the last minute said no. And I told this guy, I trained for 3 months. I've got time and money. I am missing my son's game. I can't make it back to Hayes. I've got a motel room I'm not going to get back. And he goes, sorry. And my thought is, I've seen Kansas City play. You have no defense. I can jump this table and I can whip you. You don't know I'm a preacher. I was mad. I've lost everything. I've lost my first opportunity. I've lost my son's, and my wife's trying to keep track. He is playing defense, and my wife says he's playing center. I'm like, center's offense. She's like, shut up. You know what I mean? No, I don't, because you don't know what you mean. How do I know what you mean? He's in the center, but he's on defense. Anyway, so what do you do when your race has been stolen? What do you do when your race has been stolen in life? When you had all these big plans and you got what you think is what your life, you've got it all mapped out. You've got the marriage mapped out. You've got the 3 kids, 3.5 kids, the dog and a half, the cat. You've got the whole thing, the job. You've got everything mapped out, and all of a sudden it gets stolen from you. It's out of your hands. What do you do? Do you sit sour and soak about it? Or do you get up and train for your next race? I was mad. I told Vicki, I said, hey, when Brant gets in, let me know. I'm going to pull off to the side of the road and I'm going to watch. So I'm on the side of the road knowing a cop's going to pull up behind me because, sorry, copper, but you know how those cops are. They show up just at the right time, and all I've got is my little phone, and I'm trying to watch my son on this thing, trying to see, and that's his number. I can tell by his stance. That's here he is. And so I got home, at midnight, 11 hours on the road, And I sat down at the table, and hey, tell me about the game, son. I wasn't there. Tell me what you this and that. And we was talking about it a little bit. So I decide Saturday morning I'm going to get up. So instead of running 3 miles, I ran 5.2 miles. Instead of sitting around the house complaining about it, I went and took my son Brant, and we went and sighted our bows in. Jay was with Gail. Sorry, Jay, couldn't help that. But I asked Jay, you want to go with us? No, I'm going to stay home. I got things to do. You know what he did? He ate a Subway and stayed in the house and played with his dog. Sorry, But Brant and I went out to the range, and we sighted in our bows, and we come back home, and we went out hunting, and sorry I wasn't there. And he said, hey, Dad, he said, we can watch the whole game on my phone. I've got this app from Coach. And so we sat in a deer stand. I'm like, why are we getting the football back? It was an 80-yard touchdown. Why are we getting a call back? We had kind of a problem with personal fouls. Oh, what was the problem? We kept using our hands when inappropriately. Oh, okay. So what do you do when your race is stolen? You get back up. I had a whole other sermon planned, and then life happened. And life happened to friends of mine this week, and I had this other sermon planned, but then life happened. And you know what? Life sometimes just really throws curveballs at us, and it's not the life we want. And we keep asking ourselves, God, this is ridiculous. And sometimes you just throw up your hands. This is not the life I want. This is not the life that I have planned. October is such a hard month for me because there's a lot of hard months, but it's the month that we do breast cancer awareness. And I hate watching football this month because I see all that pink being thrown out, and I'm reminded of losing my sister. And if she would have just went to the doctor when she had the first symptoms, or if she just went on her regular checkup, a yearly checkup, she'd still be here today. But she didn't have the money to go, and she wouldn't ask for the help. It's a month that we remember the loss of babies. In the same country that we have people that say it's okay to murder the innocent. And I put a thing online and on Thursday, and I just felt the call to pray for moms who had lost it, because dads remember, and dads are hurt, but moms, there's a special connection. And let's be honest, moms hurt more or different. And I just started seeing the names of all these moms that are still hurting. Years, and some of them have been years. And this life is hard. And you can't be a sissy and live this life. And you can't be half-hearted. And I wanted to go to the Old Testament and go to 1 Kings or 2 Kings 13 and preach about Jehoiaz and how that he went to Elijah and pulled him off his deathbed. And hey, am I going to win? Am I going to be a good king? And Elijah said, take an arrow and shoot out the window. And he shoots an arrow out the window. And the king's thinking, this guy's weird. And he said, take these arrows and strike them on the ground. And he just goes over there and goes, he's half-hearted about life. And let me tell you what, if you're half-hearted about living, you're not going to live. You've got to go at life with everything you've got, or you're going to just always be swimming and always be drowning in it. You've got to go at it. And what I wanted to go to, and I've used this verse and used this verse, and this is it. And if I've used it before, this is where God told me to go, and this is where I had to go. All week, I just kept going back to this. And it's 2 Timothy chapter 4. This is Paul's second trip to prison. Second time for being in prison for preaching. If I was Paul and I keep getting thrown in prison for being a preacher, you know what? I'm retired. The first time through was kind of house arrest. He kind of come and go as he please. He can still write. He can still do his things. But this time Nero was in charge. And Nero would take Christians, dip them in hot wax while they're still alive. Loved hearing them scream. The guy was crazy. Would tie them to posts in his gardens and set them on fire and listen to them scream to death while he walked through his gardens. Nero would tie these Christians to poles, would dress up like wild animals, and would go around and bite them and kill them and bite them as a wild animal. The guy was crazy. And Paul is in prison. This guy's in charge. And Paul says, I'm coming to the end of my life. And I know it. But man, I fought a good fight. I fought the good fight. I finished. It didn't say I got first place. You see, Jesus got first place. All you can do is finish. You're not going to get first. But you are required to finish. I kept the faith. He goes on to say, now there's in store for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day. Let me tell you what, I've done several races, and some, the 5Ks anymore, and don't get me wrong, if you've done a 5K and you enjoy a 5K, that's good. And anymore, that's all I want to do. But there's nothing like training for something hard and getting the reward of finishing something tough. Now, for some people, a 5K is tough, and anymore, making it to the kitchen's getting tough. But when I trained for a half marathon and to finish the half, and then train for the whole and to finish the, man, to get the reward. And I trained with several people from the last churches I was at, and I can't do 13. I can't do 13. Yeah, you can. And encourage them, and they wanted to quit. No, you can do this. You can do this. And to watch them cross the finish line and to watch them fall apart because I knew and they knew what it took to get there. And they made it. And on that day, because your Father's going to know what it took to get you to the finish line. He understands that if anyone understands the willingness and the wanting to quit, your big brother knows. Remember on the night that he was betrayed? Remember in the garden? Dad, please don't make me do this. If anybody knows the desire and to look ahead of them and to see that something is too big, your brother understands that. Dad, this is too big. Daddy, please don't ask me to do this. Please don't make me go through this. 3 times he begged him. But he ended that prayer the same way we must end that prayer. But not my will. Dad, I'll do it if you want me to. And that takes guts. But on that day, the righteous judge will award to me, but not only to me, but also to all those who long for his appearing. Man, I've been through a lot in my life, and you say you laugh so much. I don't have to worry about what I've been through. See, the key is I've been through it. You get through it, and you figure out a way to deal with it, and to deal with it, and to build yourself, okay, how am I going to get through this? Use it to change me. And to know that I've got to move past this. I'll never forget it. But I'm going to use it to move past this. But see, here's what you do. You got to reflect back on your life. And that starts in high school. That actually starts in grade school. 8th grade, don't you start reflecting back on grade school years? And before you can go forward, you got to look back on how you lived your life, reflecting back. And now, it's already starting to happen senior year. and everybody in their senior year, they're already starting to reflect back. And I was looking at moms who are taking pictures of their kids their senior year. This is my kid's last softball game. This is going to be their last homecoming, the last football game. And it gets all sappy and crying, and it's reflecting back. Paul is reflecting back on his life, and he says, what? Oh, I fought a good one. Oh, it was a good one. Man, life is filled with a lot of ups and downs. He didn't always go 100%. He didn't always do good. He didn't always have a good life. He didn't always have everything go the way he wanted to go. But when it failed, he knew how to use those failures to better himself. He reflected back on his drive, on what motivated him. I have fought a good fight. I have finished. I have kept the faith. I was determined to get to the end. And I have noticed good goal line stances and bad goal line stances in football. It's football season. I did watch the Nebraska. I watched the Minnesota game yesterday. Sorry, Nebraska fans. I tried rooting for Nebraska. I wanted Nebraska to win so bad yesterday. I really did. I rooted and rooted and rooted. And then I just wanted them to get a touchdown. And I was happy when they got a touchdown. And, you know, it was that kind of a game. And I've watched a lot of goal line stances. And let me tell you what. If you're on a goal line stance and if all you want to do is get to the goal line, you're failing at a goal line stance. The idea of a goal line stance is to get to the back of the goal. Because what you want to do is bust through the defense. And in life, if you just want to try to make it to the next yard line, you're missing the opportunity in what you're trying to do. You got to bust through the defense. And I like watching football players who go all out all the time. And I got to tell you, one of my favorite football players we got here in town is watching Carter Jones. I tell you, that kid gets up hobbling about every time. And I asked his dad, I said, why does that kid hobble so much? And he said, well, he's got extra bones in his feet. I said, what? I said, yeah, the kid's basically crippled, basically. His dad's got to tape his feet just so he can do anything. And they told him he needs surgery on his feet, but if he does that, he's going to be out for 6 months for each foot. So, you know what? Now when you watch him play, you kind of go, wow. You know what I mean? He gets up and he's... You know, well, the one time he lost a toenail or something. He dislocated his big toe kind of thing. That's just kind of weird. That's you skip that one. But there are people in our church that when you reflect on their lives, just for instance, and you could use several people. We got a military veteran in this church who lost a son to cancer, lost a daughter to cancer, and goes every day to the nursing home to visit his wife who doesn't know him. And he takes care of his granddaughter. And he comes to church every Sunday singing praises to his Lord and Savior. Man, he's fighting one heck of a fight, ain't he? Where's my fighters at? Where's my ladies who have fought cancer? Where's my ladies who have lost a child? Where's my men who have said goodbye to their spouses? Where's my fighters at? What's their determination? What's their stamina to get in? Because you know after a while it's all guts from here. And in life, it's all guts from here. And when you're young, you may not understand that, but after a certain age, you got to realize it's all guts from here. And you've realized that in wrestling. And when he says, I have fought, what he is talking about is the wrestling arena and the good fight. You know what? The world cheats. The world doesn't fight fair. And I like watching a competition where they're fighting fair, where it's a fair competition. Both matches are fair. The wrestlers are both good matchups. And on a good football team where they're not throwing, they're not playing behind after the whistle blows, and they're not doing things wrong. They're not throwing punches when the referee's not watching. And you know what? A lot of times you're defeating yourself. If you're a mouthy player, the referee's going to start throwing the flag a lot sooner. You're losing your own points. Here's the best advice I can give you. If you're a football player, a basketball player, or a player at all, let me give you some best advice I can get. Keep your mouth shut. Let your coach do the talking for you. In a wrestling match, let Bill Johnson talk for you. Right, Bill? You keep your mouth shut. You think you got to you missed a point or whatever? I've heard Bill say a few things a time or two. He's good at it. Coach Melvin's not here. Oh, let me tell you about this. Is timeout. This is a side note. I know I'm running over a little bit. I watched this thing with Brant yesterday, and then I had the worst dreams of my life last night. I had the dream that Coach Melvin asked me for some plays. You talk about the dumbest dream. I had Dante running the ball. I said, that's stupid. And it didn't work. So I had in my dream, Coach was yelling at me and making me run up and down the football field. I woke up tired this morning. Anyway, okay, back to the sermon. The world fights dirty. And it's going to be dirty. Your world's going to fall apart like mine I thought did, which is still just a stupid race on Friday. And all I got was a sorry. The world's going to fight dirty. But I'm going to fight fair. Look at this. God's goal is to align us with His will and to line up the external us, the way we act externally, with the internal thing that is happening within us, so that when we get to the end of our race, we can say that we had finished our race strong and that we finished it with integrity. I finished well. In this verse, what we read today, it reminds myself that there is a finish line. There is a finish line to all this. I have finished my fight. I finished the race. I didn't win, but I finished. It goes on to say, I have kept the faith. The idea is that God has given us something. We have faith, but it's like the opponent's trying to rip that from us. What do I got to do to rip your faith from you? In defense, if you're a good defensive tackle, one of the things you're going to try to do is not only get the guy down, but you're going to try to rip the ball from him. And I was watching a college game the other day, and I don't know who it was, but this guy, every time he'd come to tackle the guy, he'd come with a full fist. And he'd come around and he'd hit that ball, and every time the ball would pop out. The guy was good at it. It was like every play was a fumble. And that's what Satan's trying to do, is get you to fumble along the way, get you to trip up and lose your faith. What do I got to do to get you to lose faith? But finish. And the Lord, the righteous judge, will award you your crown. And I brought these up here because I'm stupid, probably was the reason I brought them up here. But when I did my run, I've got a ton of these, and I want to put them up at my house, and Vicki said no. They don't go with her deer that she shot out of my deer stand with my bow, but I'm over it. This is, when I did the 5K, man, I was so nervous doing that 5K in Champaign. I think there's like, I don't know, 1 billion people showed up, and it says 5K finisher on it, you know, and when they give you that and you put that around your neck, that's one thing. They come up here and they put that on you like that, and a little bitty dinky thing. And then you finish the marathon and they put this around you. It's heavy. It says finisher on it, marathon finisher. But then they give you this one because you did them both. And it says Illinois Challenge 5K, 42K finisher. And so you walk away, you know, and on the back of it, it has your time on it, you know, whatever it is. But what about when you were supposed to win? and you didn't win. I want to show you two videos real quick.
For some, the reward is a personal one, the knowledge that they finished what they set out to do. A little over an hour after Mama Wolde crosses the finish line, John Stephen Akhwari of Tanzania approaches the stadium, the last man to complete the journey. A voice calls from within to go on, and so he goes on. Afterwards it was written, "Today we have seen a young African runner who symbolizes the finest in the human spirit. A performance that gives true dignity to sport. A performance that lifts sport out of the category of grown men playing at games. A performance that gives meaning to the word courage. All honor to John Stephen Akhwari of Tanzania." Perhaps the words of John Stephen Akhwari epitomize all that is right in the human spirit. When asked why he did not quit, he said simply, "My country did not send me 5,000 miles to start the race. They sent me 5,000 miles to finish the race."
Your dad didn't leave you here to start something. He started it. He left you here to finish it. In 1992, Derek Redmond was projected to win the gold medal in the 400 meters. During his he tore his hamstring muscle.
Tom Hammond and Craig Mass back at Olympic Stadium in Barcelona, coming up to the men's 400-meter semifinals. Here are the lane assignments. Steve Lewis in lane 3. Top 4 to Wednesday's final. Steve Lewis in lane 3. Roberto Hernandez out quickly in 4. Now down the backstretch.
Ismael on the left of the screen is running very, very quickly. And inside of Lewis, Sunday Bada of Nigeria.
And Derek Redmond of Great Britain has pulled up with an injury. Redmond is out.
Derek Redmond, the British record holder, and an important member of that British 4x400 meter relay team, as he doesn't want anybody to help him.
It'll be Lewis to win in 44.50.
Look at this. He's going to try to finish his semifinal race. The British have a certain tradition of running, which you have to respect.
A bizarre finish to this first semifinal in the men's 400 meters. Derek Redmond of Great Britain pulled up with an injury halfway down the back stretch. He's fighting off those trying to help him to finish the race in his lane. And now the pain too much. crowd swelling throughout Olympic Stadium as Redmond, with assistance this time, approaches the finish line he had wanted so desperately to reach. That is.
So what happens when your race has been stolen from you? He was supposed to win the gold medal that year. He goes down in history not winning gold, but having the guts to finish the race. You're going to hobble across the finish line, but finish your race. Your world is going to be turned upside down. You're not going to get the answer you want. This was just taken a few nights ago, Wednesday. This is Jack Flaherty. He's the adopted son of a single mom. Freshman year of high school, he wanted to quit baseball. His mom said, okay, you can. But you go in and tell your younger brother that it's okay to quit when things get tough. He decided to stick it out. The first person he hugged was his mom, who gave him the determination to go ahead and keep sticking to it even when it gets tough. You've got to finish strong. I'm a little concerned about a society that in school it's okay with turning in an incomplete assignment. But we have a society that's full of incompletes. Today, if you're hurting, can I let you know that your Heavenly Father is going to come alongside of you, and it's going to make sure that you get it, that you get to your finish line. You're going to make it. Maybe today you feel like your race has been stolen from you. And you're right now getting ready to just throw up your hands. You're saying, this is not the life that I wanted. These are not the dreams that I had. I've been crushed. Maybe you're not the A student and school is a struggle for you. Keep fighting. Be a fighter. Keep going at it. Try harder. Maybe your marriage isn't all it's cracked up to be. But you keep at it. Maybe your kids, whatever it is, whatever's going on in your life, you get back in there. And once you get to the end of life, boy, I fought a good fight. I finished my race. And I love going into a funeral home and looking down into the casket, and they finished